On July 8, 2024, I would chase a new stretch of railroad, the Sydney Coal Railway, which runs between Sydney and the Lincoln Generating Station in Lincoln, Nova Scotia. SCR is an isolated line being landlocked after the Cape Breton and Nova Scotia's operations on the Sydney Subdivision were discontinued in 2014. SCR evolved from the DEVCO Railway, and before that the Sydney and Louisburg, which hauled coal from mines to the Sydney Steel Corporation in Sydney. At its height, the railroad rostered 15 locomotives and over 1,100 railcars and operated 39 miles of main line and branches. Following the government shutdown of the DEVCO coal mines, coal was imported via ship at the former coal export docks at Sydney. After the Sydney works closed and DEVCO was dissolved, the Lincoln Generating Station was sold to Nova Scotia Power. Like the power plant, the railroad was also sold to Nova Scotia Power, along with the rolling stock and locomotives. Today, the railroad operates 14 miles of track from the coal dock to the shops at Victoria Junction, then up to Scotchtown and New Waterford, before arriving at the Lincoln Generating Station. The railroad retains 5 of the 12 GP38s built by GMD, as well as a handful of coal cars. At Scotchtown, I would catch an empty coal train heading back to Sydney to get reloaded. Following this train was a set of light power, which had dropped a loaded train at the plant. The light power would return to Victoria Junction and tie down for the day. Operations normally see a light power set running to the power plant in the early morning, followed by a second train with coal loads. The light power then grabs an empty coal train that was emptied overnight and returns to Sydney, where it will be reloaded, while the second train returns back to Victoria Junction as light power after dropping coal loads at the power plant before tying down for the day. Meanwhile, the empty train, after being reloaded, will head back to Victoria Junction to tie down for the day. I'd catch the empty coal train again at Sydney Junction, which is where the interchange with Genesee and Wyoming's Cape Breton and Central Nova Scotia Railway was once located. At Sydney, the train runs around a balloon track while the cars are loaded with coal. In addition to the railroad, trucks also haul coal from the stockpile in the middle of the loop. The land I am standing on is once home to the former Sydney Works, which was once a massive steel mill. Today, the area is scattered with crushed remains of the concrete from the complex, which was torn down in the early 2000s. After taking over an hour to reload the train, the now loaded coal train heads for Victoria Junction. Setting up near the Victoria Road overpass, I would catch the train as the engineer got the train back up to track speed. After the train arrived at Victoria Junction, the crew would cancel the track warrant and tie down for the day, and I would head back to Port Hawkesbury to shoot CBNS train 701 as they switched Port Hawkesbury paper.